Hello everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today we are going to talk about North and South, which is one of my favorite novels. But before getting into it, I would like to talk a little bit about my problems with reading. I never was a good reader. I would often feel frustrated and overwhelmed while reading because I thought that I was not reading fast enough or I was not concentrating enough. And maybe the problem was that the books that I was reading did not really interest me that much. And then I started to study the Victorian era and Victorian literature at university. The Victorian era is a fascinating period of time. I enjoyed the classes I was taking and I was very interested in Victorian literature. On my birthday, Leah, whose video you may have seen on this channel, offered me this book, so North and South. Reading this book was a wonderful experience, and I know that reading can be quite scary when you never learned how to appreciate a novel, but I would recommend starting with reading something you are really interested in. I would like to show you in this video that literature and civilization or history are closely linked. I think reading is like time traveling because it will give you insights of a given period. The novel I want to talk about today is North and South, as I mentioned before. It is a social novel published in 1854 by Elisabeth Gaskell. It was adapted 3 times on television in 1966, 1975 and 2004. It depicts the dynamics between social classes during the Industrial Revolution in England. Margaret Hale is forced to leave the rural south of England for the fictional industrial city of Milton. The city of Milton is based on Manchester, where Elisabeth Gaskell lived with her husband, who was a Unitarian minister. In the novel, Margaret Hale is confronted to the disparities between rich people and poor people as she is friends with workers, but she is also the friend of John Thornton, who is the owner of a cotton mill. The complexity of labor relations is very well represented in North and South. I really like the character of Margaret Hale and especially her personal growth. In the novel, we can see that grieving helps her build her own identity and get more and more independent. She may have a love interest, but her strong personality is put forward in the novel. This leads me to the question of gender roles and how gender roles are challenged in Gaskell's novel. The Victorian decorum regarding women and the predetermination of gender roles are very well represented in North and South. During the Victorian period, women were seen as angels of the house. They were essentially passive and belonged to the private sphere, whereas men belonged to the public sphere. They were facing the outside world with strength and dignity. These predetermined gender roles are being challenged by Gaskell in North and South. For example, Margaret is unchaperoned in Milton. She is not scared to walk by herself and to visit her working class friends in poor neighborhoods. Margaret also speaks her mind, and she has opinions, strong ones. And these opinions are generally well received by male characters, which is very unconventional and surprising to see in a Victorian novel. Even through grieving, Margaret keeps her emotions to herself in order to protect her family. Also, when she disagrees with a male character in conversations, we can see that she is boiling inside, but she simply speaks her heart while being aggressively calm. The fact that Margaret is a young woman who isn't scared to express her thoughts and opinions would explain why her friendship with Thornton takes quite some time to develop. Margaret's relationship with her father is interestingly unconventional. Her father respects her very much, and he often comes to her for advice because he values her opinion. Another thing I would like to mention is the representation of marriage in North and South, which is relevant to the condition of women in the Victorian era. Margaret's mother often expresses her feeling about how her marriage is a failure, and how she has lost her prestige by marrying Margaret's father, even though he is a loving husband. So here we can see that marriage is really about money and conserving a certain position in society. Margaret's cousin gets married at the very beginning of the novel, and her marriage represents Victorian traditions. It is reminiscent of the condition of women who were predestined to be wedded. Margaret's brother also gets married, but his marriage is only about love regardless of religion, because his fiancée is Catholic. As for Margaret, what makes her special is that she has no interest in marriage. She even refuses a proposal at the beginning of the novel in order to protect her family, as she knew that they were moving to Milton and that they were eventually going to need her help. I think I really enjoyed this fictional character because of her sense of sacrifice and selflessness. It is a very original way of representing women in the Victorian society. I would like to conclude this video by reminding you that literature and history are closely linked, and if you are interested in a certain period of time, you should go ahead and read novels written at this time. It would give you a general understanding of what society looked like, and it will also help you to read more easily. I will see you soon for another video, and I really hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.